Hi, my dear Astro family. Today, I just wanted to make a very quick video for a couple of reasons. I did mention to you when I made a video about Jupiter entering the sign of Pisces, and then it will be conjuncting Neptune, that I think plenty of people will be trying to take advantage of astrologers, and just the fraud can really increase. And I would like to remind you that I don't offer free readings. I don't offer discounted readings through Instagram and Facebook, and I'm not gonna text you that do you want to have a reading from me and so forth, because today actually they hacked my Instagram account and they are sending messages to people to have discounted readings and so forth. That is not me, okay? So my Instagram account is AstroViktor.Official or something like that. Actually, I do have to check, sorry. It is very frustrating that people are really trying to take advantage of others. So just be very mindful. Yes, so my Instagram account is AstroViktor.Official. So I'm going to put it on the screen, and the hacker is using exactly the same, just there is a little line in front of AstroViktor. That is not me, okay? That account has got, it follows about 2,200 people. I think I only follow like 100 people or 50 people. So I would like you to be very mindful, in regards to Facebook, Instagram, and also recently, unfortunately, they hacked my bank card as well, and then they stole 9,000 euros. So I think these will be increasing in the next, especially 5 months, but most probably towards the end of the year as well in 2022. So just everyone be very careful. Another reason why I wanted to make a video is because on the 12th of February, I'm going to be making a webinar about the 10 hardest aspects in astrology and how to actually deal with them. Because I think one of the hardest topic for astrology students is to integrate these hard aspects. And we tend to be seeing them and we get scared, and we don't really know what to do with it, and we believe that our lives are going to be doomed. So I thought that maybe a little webinar would help you about how to deal with these very hard aspects. So I would like you to actually, if possible, make a comment in the description box below in regards to what you think the hardest aspects are, or what you would like me to cover in this webinar, so that I can actually prepare for it. But I thought that I would make a short video about what I think some of the hardest aspects are, and then I might be considering to actually cover those in the webinar. If you would like to join the webinar, by the way, then it's free of charge for those who are part of my Astro community, like a Patreonship type of program. Otherwise, you can actually book this webinar on my website, AstroViktor.com. And I will be also making a webinar this month about Venus aspects in the chart, just to boost our love life a little bit, because this month is a little bit about love. It's Valentine's Day. Juno has just changed sign. There is going to be a Mars and a Venus conjunction going on. So I thought it's a good time to actually look at our love language as well a little bit from the Venus perspective, Venus in aspects. So number one, and it's not going to be in particular order, so I don't think this is the hardest one. I just picked some of the hard aspects which I think it's quite hard to deal with. So the number one I wanted to mention is the Mercury square Uranus. Mercury square Uranus, the little bit of a danger of that is something to do with mental frustration. These people might not be able to actually stay in one position all the time. They shift quite a lot. I've seen also this aspect as playing out with someone who has got some type of suicidal thoughts. And it doesn't mean that everyone who have got this aspect will be committing suicide. So don't get me wrong, but in a very hard aspect, you know, this could be also some of the topics which we need to kind of think about. I've seen this in ADHD, or because the mind is kind of like very electrified here, or these people tend to worry about things quite a lot. Sometimes it is even shutting them down. Sometimes there is this mental torment going on in the head. So it can be very hard to deal with. Number two aspect, which might be actually also an important one, is Chiron conjuncting the ascendant. So this is typically people who have gone through some type of bullying in their life, typically at school, and maybe they like being in the shadow. But it's very important that these people realize that they were born to actually become a healer in one way or another. So Chiron conjuncting the ascendant, sometimes it talks about a dramatic birth, or they don't know how to express themselves to the fullest. It's kind of like a hurt ego. These people tend to be going through some drama in their life, or they have got issues of initiating some type of project, or even I've seen it in people's chart who have got this suppressed rage and anger going on towards their family, or just overall the way they look like, or these people feel very ugly as well. So they need to be coming into peace with their body. And sometimes they feel very embarrassed about their body. So these aspects which we are covering, we're going to be looking at a lot more in depth in the webinar. Probably it's going to be a good 3-4 hours altogether. Another one which I think could be quite hard to handle is Pluto conjuncting the IC. Sometimes this does talk about some how is it called, violent type of family, or a family where there have been some very strong power struggle going on. It could really talk about, for instance, that we had resentment in our home environment, or somehow I got abandoned, such as, for instance, the death of a parent. It really talks about some type of scars in the childhood. And of course, it's going to be affecting your career as well, because you are not going to be coming into terms of your own power. It's going to be affecting your midheaven because it's opposing that. Sometimes these people are a little bit like loners as well, or they kind of want to be having the secret sanctuary overall. So these people will need to learn to somehow come out of their shadow. Yeah, we can look at some of the major asteroids as well, or even fixed stars. So in that case, probably, let's say Sado or Sedna conjuncting the IC could be quite prominent as well. I would say within about maximum 2 degrees. And these two especially could talk about being betrayed by people, being betrayed by men, typically, or even being betrayed just family, or kind of like with Sado especially, there is this sadism going on. There is kind of like that they have to be dealing with some drama in their life. But that's just kind of like a bonus, which I kind of wanted to mention here. Number 4 aspect, I think, could be maybe Uranus conjuncting Mars. Now, these people can be sometimes accident prone, so they do need to be careful with that. Uranus and Mars could really talk about being a little bit scattered all over the place, and therefore things are not necessarily actually falling into place. Mars conjunction to Uranus could really talk about a very creative talent, a very interesting life overall. But it could indicate also that your sexual life is all over the place somehow. So these typically affect somehow your relationship department. They might be attracting some violent partners, for instance, and that could be also the case with Pluto and Mars as well. Or somehow there is always this troubled life somehow coming into the picture. So it needs to be learning to channel this erratic and fiery energy into some constructive activities overall. Yeah, so a little bit more about that maybe when it comes to the webinar. The next aspect, which I think number 5 I would like to mention, is Saturn and Venus squares or oppositions. Now, this is typically talking about somehow I don't deserve love. I don't deserve money. So it really talks about some of the blockages we are actually coming up with subconsciously in order for us to, you know, somehow protect ourselves. It's kind of like building up a huge wall in front of us. And it's going to be very hard to penetrate that, or it's going to be very hard to kind of knock it down. Now, imagine that Pluto comes around, for instance, and then starts triggering this square or opposition. Maybe Pluto is coming onto your Venus, and it's kind of going to be forcing you to somehow get that wall down. So this could be a really challenging aspect. It could also talk about self-worth issues. I don't see that I'm good enough for something. So just let's be very mindful about that. The next aspect, number 6, I think we are on, which is Moon and Saturn square or opposition. These people want to kind of control their emotions. They have to learn to allow themselves to somehow feel their emotions and allowing themselves to be sensitive. It could talk about lack of security, lack of comfort, lack of support from others. Sometimes it actually brings disability, but these people might have received some type of tough love from others, or they believe that you know, life is just hard. We do need to experience everything in a very hard way. So this is the aspect of self-containment. This could be a very kind of like cautious behavior when it comes to people. And in many cases, Moon and Saturn kind of indicates that we look after elderly people. Maybe we had to be looking after them when we were a child, or we had to be looking after our siblings. So it's kind of like a childless experience. So, and then they are very responsible. They cannot really have fun. Yes, it could bring in some problems with authority figures also. The next aspect, which might be a little bit hard, number 7, is Pluto and Moon. And it could be either conjunction, square, or oppositions. It could be, for instance, one way to kind of experience this is poverty at a young age. So therefore, it could be indication of financial struggles, not knowing that I can actually earn loads of money. But this could be also a victimized type of aspect. So maybe the person believes that I'm a victim of something or someone, or actually we tend to be attracting those type of people who want to be controlling us. Sometimes these people get stalked and talked down on, and unfortunately this is an aspect of rape as well. It could be about attracting pathological liars. This is an aspect where it's very possible that I got betrayed also by a mom, for instance. These people are very psychologically self-scrutinizing. So there is kind of like this perfectionist element also to it, which we do need to be very careful about. Another one, number 8. That would be Sun and Saturn opposition or square. So these people do need to learn to kind of be confident, because this is the aspect of lack of confidence, lack of optimism. This can bring blockages and delays into people's life. Sometimes the energy level is very depleted, which could lead to depressions also. These people can be prone to infections or catching a cold very often. This could actually talk about feeling somehow burdened by authority figures, or I don't feel supported by others. And just some type of psychological blockages overall. So this might be kind of like not knowing who I am. Now, Saturn and Sun does need to learn to kind of become wise about something. They have to learn to kind of share a knowledge with others, especially if it's a very tight aspect overall. This could really talk about rising above some of the initial hardships of life and then kind of showing to others how to do that. It's kind of like a self-mastery. It's the do-it-yourself. It's a DIY aspect. But what can happen is that people feel that life is kind of like an apprenticeship and I have to be learning quite a lot. So they probably need a good mentor overall. It's about taking responsibility for your own action. Maybe number 9 would be something to do with Black Moon Lilith. I think that could be actually quite a challenging one. So I would say Black Moon Lilith and Pluto opposition. One of the reasons why I think it's a very tough one to deal with is because also this is an aspect of something to do with sexual rape. This is an aspect where people can feel kind of like chased by others. This could be an aspect where there is like this controlling and dominance going on in the relationship. It could talk about shifts in relationship, which might be very familiar from your childhood also. It could talk about jealousy or the need for possessions, like an extreme emotional expression overall. This is an aspect which is like being a hostage of something. It might be your work, it might be crisis situations, it might be a relationship, depending on where these are in your chart. But this is an aspect where someone is reminded to work with occult studies overall. So I'd like you to consider that. And maybe number 10 aspect would be Jupiter and Chiron. It might sound a little bit weird. This is the aspect of shame. This is the aspect where we do need to learn to accept ourselves with all the scars and knowing that we are not perfect. So this is the aspect of accepting imperfection overall and helping actually others to accept themselves too. So Jupiter and Chiron opposition can kind of become like a wallowing type of energy in our chart, wallowing in our pain. It's very important that we realize that we somehow are a wounded healer and we are actually meant to be sharing those pains with others. It's kind of like feeling broken and how to become a whole person overall. So I think these are somehow some of the hardest aspects, but I would love your opinion. Help me please to come up with a very great webinar about the top 10 hardest aspects. And then if you wish to sign up for that webinar, it's going to be happening on the 12th of February. So thank you everyone and see you very soon.